Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going back to the Faultline series from K&L, Dustin. And this time, the GlenFabulous 2010 single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 13 years in a single Hogshead barrel, non-chill filtered, cask strength, 55.1. And I know I said GlenFabulous. It is a Glenfarclas.
Fabulous.
But that's what they put here, GlenFabulous.
It's from California. What do you expect?
I expect fabulous.
You know what? I hope so.
You know what? Glenfarclas, I've had a love-hate relationship with Glenfarclas. I like the whiskey. I've always been somewhat disappointed with some of them, but it was my first 25-year-old whiskey, Dustin, and I love a good, heavily sherried Speyside, my friend.
No, they're kind of like Springbait in that they don't give a flying crap about batch variation. The problem is, unless I'm just an idiot, which I probably am, I don't see distinct notes on their bottles that tell me, oh, this is from this year, this is this batch. I'm sure they've got a code, but it's never been apparent to me when I've looked at them. And that's my problem, is like, they're all so distinctly different.
Yeah, I've got a few family cask bottles, and man, they range from outrageous to awful.
Well, I'm just talking about the 25,
oh, yeah,
17.
The 20, man, the 20. You know, remember the 25 was the only bottle I ever tried to ever bring back. So I was like, man, this is something wrong with this thing. I remember it was like 4 or 5 to 15, that date stamp or whatever. Yeah, so the Glenfarclas has been hit or miss, I guess.
I remember we compared our 17s once. Yours was a sherry bomb.
Oh.
Mine tasted like they didn't have sherry in it.
Yeah. I had a couple of really old 17s. So they were just 2010 bottlings, and it was just old butterscotch, and it was great. But you know what, Dustin? Here we are again. Sherry cask maturation, cask strength. I mean, these are two really solid things. It's kind of a medium color, but it's this Faultline series from K&L, natural color, unchill filtered.
Now, we're usually not the education channel, but we should note that one of the things I do love about Glenfarclas is they're still coal fire stills.
Yes.
Which is very apparent on the whiskey, and sometimes can be off-putting when they really use their 25th, 35th fill casks.
Glenfarclas is not afraid to use a well-used cask.
Let's put it this way, guys. This was a $60 bottle, and Mike and I only decided to buy this because the person reviewing it noted how so often Glenfarclas used tired casks, and this didn't come off that way.
Yeah, and this he promised us this wasn't that scenario. And I was like, oh, he must be talking to me.
It was like, and it also was like, oh, so you've had the same freaking family cask that we paid $300 for and sucked.
You must be talking to me.
Yeah, like that. Thank you. That was exactly why I was scared, even at $60 to buy this.
$59.99. All right, Dustin, let's get to it.
And you know what? Instantly, butterscotch, like you said, and that coal note is coming through. But it does have a little red fruit. It's not over the top. It's not intense. It's not super chocolatey. But you can tell that this is not a dead cask.
No, my first ever Glenfarclas was the Glenfarclas 17. Founded at Hills Market in Worthington, Ohio.
Same for me.
And I tell you what, even though it's 43%, I was like, man, this just... My grandfather used to drink scotch, and in my mind, I thought it tasted like butterscotch as a kid. Yeah. That's the only thing I could like. That was where my mind went to.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever had a whiskey taste like butterscotch, it was the Glenfarclas 17-year-old 43% ABV, one of those old bottlings. And man, this brings me right back to it. It's butterscotch and true Glenfarclas distillery characteristic.
Yeah. Now I remember back to your 25 and my 25. I got to try both of them, and the first thing I get here is, okay, it's not that old, because those did kind of bring in this sort of grapey note in the sherry or something that really distinctly told us it was aged. I remember we had Keith over here and I kind of poured 3 random whiskeys in a glass and had you guys try, and both of you instantly picked up on, hey, this one's older. You're like, this isn't great, but this is old. And this doesn't have that note here, which, kind of tells me again, for anybody who's bought a Glenfarclas 25 and it's like, that's not what 25-year-old whiskey is like. It does taste old, guys. You just are expecting something a little more wow.
Yeah, and again, to me, this is more reminiscent of the 17, which to me
very much.
17 was always my favorite of the core range. I don't care if it's a 10, 12, 15, 17, 21, which is an underrated whiskey, or the 25. To me, my favorite one of the core range was always the 17.
I've always wanted to pick up a 15 just because of the 46.
You're right. You're right about
UK
that.
thing. So I'm waiting to find one of those like sample packs where I can just get the whole thing. But anyway,
So
you're right. Very distinctly butterscotch, 17, 100%. It's more leaning towards the one I bought than the one you had last time we were here.
Yeah, it's not quite as sherried as the old ones that I had.
Yeah, it's not a sherry.
Yeah, I don't think this is overly sherry, but I think this is a good medium sherry.
I actually kind of like it. It's like it's letting the Glenfarclas malt showcase itself. It's letting that charcoal note come through. And yet it's still giving us the nice sherry that is classic Glenfarclas. Because Glenfarclas without sherry, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it's not what you expect from Glenfarclas.
It's like Macallan without sherry. I mean,
Exactly.
this is one of these Speyside
Highland Park without sherry. Like, you're just like, it's cool, but
it's not you.
It's not why I buy your brand.
Correct, exactly. Now, a lot of people or a couple guys that I know that are big Scotch guys. One of them, me and our buddy Mario, right, who's a huge Glenfarclas fan. He likes the fact that he can pick up distillery characteristic. I remember the first time I had this, I'm like, when he comes out this year, I'm gonna share this with him. I know he'll like this.
Oh, he's gonna be head over heels. And one thing I do like about this, over say like the 22-year-old 107 we had. This one I could smell without being burned.
Oh, yeah.
My nostrils aren't burning.
No, this is better than that 22-year-old 105 that I had.
Way better.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the butterscotch, right? It's the Glenfarclas characteristic. It's a little bit more sweetness from the sherry. A wisp of oak smoke, but, not that too much at all. I mean, even though it's straightforward and simple, I like all the parts of this. Mm-hmm. And again, cast strength. I'm sure it's going to come off a little bit richer, when I have it on the palate. What are you picking up?
I mean, everything we just said on the nose is here. But, man, it is oily. This is the oiliest whiskey we've had today. Just rich. And on the finish, the alcohol and the oils really just kind of come together and let that oak linger and sit on your tongue with that butterscotch note. I mean, again, I honestly, I don't think I have a note here that isn't from what we just talked about on the nosing. I mean, it's the butterscotch, a little bit of chocolate, a little light bit of sherry. Ooh. But the sherry balances with that Glenfarclas aggressive malt and that coal note.
So you get butterscotch at first. As soon as you swallow, you get a nice sweetness of sherry coming up. Mm-hmm. And here on the linger, just traditional Glenfarclas distillery characteristic. Yeah. Like right now, the linger that I have, this is Glenfarclas.
Yeah, I would say it's got a little hint where it's leaning into some slight buttery umami kind of thing, but not. That's not quite there.
Glenfarclas though.
It is, but I'm just trying to add some notes to people who haven't had Glenfarclas.
This is a clean, straightforward, cut to the source Glenfarclas.
Yeah. Again, and Glenfarclas is butterscotch, charcoal,
little sherry,
little sherry traditionally, and then again maybe just a hint of mushroom sauce, just a drop.
Man,
that's Glenfarclas malt. But this one is so oily and rich. Mouthfeel on this thing is epic.
This is another thing where expectations. I wouldn't expect a ton from this. I'm not. Yeah. I like Glenfarclas. I'm a huge fan of him. But to me, this only does a few things, but everything is done well. Mm-hmm. This to me is. This sounds silly to say, but almost the quintessential Glenfarclas.
It's funny. Here's an independent bottling where this is actually what Glenfarclas should always try to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's so recognizable. Again, it doesn't do a ton. It's not overly sherried. So I don't agree that it's one of these extreme heavily sherried family casks. No. But it's not a weak sherry cask either. It's not a tired cask.
So this is something I make a note about a lot. And that is that with independent bottle, on brands, you often pick up the qualities of the independent bottler's rickhouse because they buy it new, they age it. I think these guys are actually getting casks from Glenfarclas. They're getting it from wherever, and it's been aged in their cellars because this is very, very much.
You probably got sent samples. And you're like, what barrel do you want to buy with those little sticks?
This tastes like it came right out of Glenfarclas's casks. Maybe it was spent 2 years somewhere else or something, but this tastes like it was in their dunnage warehouses. I assume they're dunnage. I actually don't know.
I don't either.
But yeah, it's right out of the Glenfarclas warehouse, which is crazy. You just don't get that with independent bottlers usually.
Yeah, these are.
And they usually cost more. This costs less.
This $59.99. Yeah, Dustin. I mean, I tell you what,
we're getting a nice berry note now.
we were excited to be able to get some of these K&L single barrel picks. Again, some of the old, there were ones that came really high rewarded. I Am With You. Malt Reviews did one that I watched probably 4 times.
Oh my God.
And I was super excited. Then now we have a way to get them to us. Oh. And these did not disappoint. From price to execution.
Yeah.
I mean, if the 25 is, this is better than the 25. 25 is $200 whiskey.
You haven't seen the new prices on it.
This is $59.99.
It's $300 whiskey now.
That's ridiculous. It was overpriced at $150.
I paid $125 last time I bought one.
This absolutely, for $59.99, this is another just incredible deal.
The 25 is clearly older.
Older, yes. Better, no.
You do get notes of that. But yeah, well done. I keep going back to the mouthfeel. Like flavor-wise on this whiskey, I'm not blown away at all. The mouthfeel on this thing is crazy good. It's so rich, so oily.
Yeah, Glenfarclas is always either 43% or it's 60%, like with the 105 stuff.
With the exception of the 15, it's 46.
Okay, yeah, right. So it's either low or super high. Now this is 55.
Family casks, cast strength.
Right. This is a middle. This is cast strength still. Just a little lower than some of the family casts or a lot of the family casts.
Yeah, we should bring that up again. Funny thing, I don't know what's going on with the Faultline series.
They're all about 55%.
55, yeah. I don't know why. Like, I would expect this over 60% because we've got some pretty high proof ones.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. But I guess my point is just, man, this is just hitting a good middle ground on so many things. I'm really excited to share this with some people who are big fans of Glenfarclas. I really want to hear what they have to say.
So well put together.
Agreed. All right, Dustin, my bottle. At least this one is. Yep. Whiskey score time. You go first, my friend.
So, this is one of those examples of whiskey that I'm giving a score very much on the academics and not my personal taste. Because I'm not the biggest Glenfarclas fan.
Agreed.
But the academics on this is an 89 whiskey. It is so incredibly well put together. Me personally, this is like an 87 for me. But as far as a whiskey goes, because of that viscosity, the linger, the richness on the mouthfeel, the way it lets the malt showcase while still leaning on this well-done, excellent cask. This is an 89. It's almost getting into like 90 level stuff, but there's no wow factor here beyond that first arrival of oiliness. Unbelievable whiskey.
I really enjoy this whiskey. I'm going to give it the lowest score I can, what I feel of it. I think it's an 87. I probably am underappreciating this because I'm not a huge Glenfarclas fan. So, but again, I will say it's very well put together. If you're a fan of the 17, the 25, and if you want a higher ABV Glenfarclas, you're going to like that. You're going to like this better than you like any of those whiskeys.
Yeah,
and it's $59.99. But for me, as you know, not a huge Glenfarclas fan, I bought it because it was $59.99, and I'm glad I did. But for me, it's an 87.
No, again, for me, it's an 87 as well in taste. But I have to give it those extra points because it's just so perfectly done.
For not being over, other than the Glenfarclas I had that are way oversherried, this has almost the perfect mouthfeel.
This is just the most well put together, like 13-year-old whiskey I've ever had.
It's a good one.
It's not the best tasting 13-year-old in my opinion, but again, that's a personal taste. It's a preference of if you like that. It's just so well done.
I think a fan
blown away.
I think a fan of Glenfarclas will give this. Some fans of Glenfarclas
91, 92.
Right. I completely agree with you.
I can see Glenfarclas fans just being like, "I'll pay $300 for a bottle tomorrow." Like
yeah.
$500, I'll just get one.
$59.99.
That's a crazy price.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. This wraps up our little 3 whiskey review of the Faultline series. We're going to try more.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to try more. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy whiskey drinking.
See you next time.